Rusev and Dave Meltzer. And Dave Meltzer kind of pointed out that Aleister Black and Rusev, or Miro at the time, had already lost more matches in their current WWE runs as they had in their entire multi-year AEW runs. Rusev in 6 months, it's not even 6 months, I think he started back in May, so it was even less, has wrestled almost as many matches than he did in AEW over 5 years, and has lost more matches already than he did in AEW. Now, Dave Meltzer continually has talked about how Rusev is not over in WWE on his podcasts. He's like the only person he mentions this about, and it seems to be like constant. He's always taking aim at Rusev. It's like he's got a personal beef with him.
Well, according to Dave, WWE's not even over as WWE. So there's an inception. WWE's just not over compared to AEW. Like nobody, just because you're in WWE, you're not over.
Oh, God, he was making a case that WWE was definitely not the best show out there. But the thing is, like, you can make the case for it, but who would you make the case had the best show of 2025? I think it's kind of been a down year for wrestling. All around.
Creatively, there was a honeymoon period, much like the Triple H story we said. 2025 seems to be the realization that this is a business and you're technically being turned upside down and shaken for. You're the money mark to TKO. That's the way it looks like.
So, Meltzer, a couple of weeks ago, was also accused of doing a number of hit pieces on WWE that sort of just didn't seem in good faith as well. But also, I mean, as we all know, Meltzer toes the AEW line no matter what the subject. And past couple of days, he was arguing with the Young Bucks. Arguing on social media how the Young Bucks had absolutely no part to play in the collapse of the CM Punk's EVP's Tony Khan situation that boiled up. It's like, well, they obviously had a part to play. But, you know, because the Young Bucks are Meltzer's personal friends, therefore they're absolutely blameless. Now, Rusev comments regarding his supposed refusal to lose matches. This is from Rusev himself. In the past 5 years while working for AEW, I've had 36 matches. Back in the day, during his first WWE run, I had 30 matches in 30 days, Rusev said. The dead time sticks out the most. We only have this body and age for so long. We can't do this job forever, so we must take advantage of it while we're young. I sat on the sidelines for so long and able to do what I love, which is performing for people in professional wrestling. Now, bear in mind what I just said there. Dave Meltzer said this recently. It felt like Rusev spent most of the time either injured or not used because of creative differences largely based on not wanting to lose. He had 36 matches in 5 years, and in hindsight, Tony Khan probably paid him more for less than anyone in the history of AEW. Since returning to WWE, he's had 25 matches. Okay, Meltzer's obviously trying to paint Rusev out as a giant waste of money and that he was very, very uncooperative with Tony Khan and refused to lose matches. What I read out of that, Stevie, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, is that Tony Khan is just an ineffectual boss who can't tell his wrestlers when to lose. He's paying them. I'm seeing this as a criticism of Tony Khan here, not Rusev, if that's true.
Isn't that the funny thing that he's trying to actually bury somebody and put Tony Khan in a favorable light, but it looks like, dude, you're just a bad boss that gets walked all over, and you should be able to say, you're getting paid to put somebody over or wrestle. You need to listen to me or you're getting sent home. Now, this here, dude, he's got to think of a better way, a more subtle way to not say he's working for AEW and getting paid by AEW, because it's beyond the pale at this point, isn't it? I think a lot of people in media, in and out of wrestling, prove every day that they're getting paid to some extent. And the ones that aren't getting paid are the ones you're calling bitter and irrelevant in some ways too, because we're telling the truth. This here, people pay this guy how much? $15 a month for this information?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you getting your money's worth? How many times has Dave Meltzer gotten his facts straight? More importantly, we talked about it on Patreon. How many times has Dave Meltzer admitted he was wrong? We're only going to compare it to what we do here. How many times have we opened up episodes with corrections on things we got wrong the week before? And how much has it bothered me all week long where I want to do a solo video saying I got this wrong? The wrestling business needs more of that. That's why it's in trouble, because nobody can realize, oh, I got it wrong. I need to correct this. Everybody's got to be the hero in their own story. And Tony Khan is a case of that. He sounds like he's just Tony Khan's puppet. Tony Khan has the hand up the butt, and Meltzer talks. That's the only way I can put it. Dave, you're making a ton of money. You've made a ton of money in this business. Al Snow says it best. You're the best worker in the history of the business, but you're being exposed for what you are the more time that goes by. Be more objective, or just say, dude, you just do an AEW only show. There's plenty of shows out there that speak of WWE in a positive light. And this is the funny thing about our show. When we talk honestly about WWE and Triple H, we're getting paid by AEW. When we do stories like this, we're getting paid by WWE. Which one is it? Because give us the money. Come on, man. Where's the money? I don't see it in my account.
Hey, damn, we'd be so much nicer if someone actually paid us. We really would. I just remembered this, right? Because we'll get back to the Rusev thing in a second. Dave Meltzer recently, so I believe, posted something to the effect of, within his own newsletter, I guess, do you watch AEW? And if you do you watch it every single week? Do you just watch Dynamite? Do you just watch Collision? Or do you just dip in and out kind of thing? Or just a pay-per-view?
So he's doing a survey on behalf of Tony Khan. That's basically just my early guess.
And guess what percentage of people who subscribed and actually bothered to reply to the Wrestling Observer newsletter that said that they watched at least some AEW, if not weekly, then at least semi-weekly? Have a guess what percentage?
25.
98% of people. This is why I'm saying
I thought you were going to do a Russo swerve there. I'm sorry.
No, 98%, which it just tells me is that all he's done is succeeded in creating his own subscription echo chamber.
So he has an AEW newsletter. Is that what you're saying?
That's basically what it is now. And now, obviously, some people who saw that didn't write in because they didn't watch, I guess, or didn't keep up with AEW. Or maybe they just watch as much WWE, but I suspect not. But, how can you just have, an almost 100% AEW fan base subscribing to you, and then you have Tony Khan calling you mid-podcast recording to just chat about the booking, I imagine, or whatever else you might be, and then claim you're unbiased, when quite clearly with the Rusev story, you are very clearly only getting it from one side. I will guarantee you he never called up Miro and said, listen, I've got this story here. It's coming straight from the horse's mouth of Tony Khan. What do you refute as far as, what he's claimed? That's what a journalist would do. What he's doing is just, it might as well be him and Tony Khan's mouth moving at the exact same time. Same with the CM Punk thing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know what? I'll look at it a different way. We all want our little niche, or hopefully a big niche when we're doing this kind of stuff. We want our core audience. We want to appeal to them and hopefully convert sales, get sponsors, get AdSense, get Patreon, buy merchandise. He has his base. Why not embrace it? Why make pretend that you don't have an AEW leaning? It's obvious it's 100% AEW, 0% WWE, right? Or anybody that talks against AEW or says anything about the favorites that he likes, you have no clue what you're talking about. You don't know anything. And there's people out there that believe him. Lean into it. Make the money. Cash Tony Khan's check. Cash the check. I'm a worker. I'm talent. Turn that money mark over and shake it for all it's worth. Do it. If you have, he probably did it already. But this is the thing. Years down the line, he or other people have just said, "No, I'm just helping out. It's just a friend." Years down the line, you're doing this much to where he's calling, asking you about the booking as a friend. I'm paraphrasing it, or I'm assuming he's not saying it's a business partner relationship. Money has switched hands. Hasn't he said it's nothing like that, or he just hasn't said it through omission?
He's said many times he's never been paid by Tony Khan kind of thing. And I think one of the arguments hey, I spoke to Vince McMahon before. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure you did a couple of, brief stints.
On the Donahue show, right?
No, apparently him and Vince used to actually, two separate stints or whatever. He and Vince used to talk about the business and whatever else. It was usually coinciding with major downturns in the WWF where I guess Vince felt like he needed another perspective or whatever, I suppose. But also, the argument doesn't wash because he said, well, I've got friends in WWE. But it's like, yeah, but here's the thing. Like, some of your best friends in the business are not only the owners of the rivals of WWE, they're also the EVPs. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and Tony Khan. Basically the four most powerful people in the company, putting on the kind of wrestling that Meltzer specifically likes. And then he over reviews every single match, and it's like a 4 3/4 star average kind of thing. And it's like, man, and once again, you're getting phone calls from the boss of AEW while you're doing podcasting and admitting it. It's like, how can you at any point say I'm completely unbiased? And I'll give you another example. I've interviewed people, and then afterwards I thought, he was a really lovely guy, and then I may have wanted to say something about them that I then didn't, because I thought, I don't want to hurt the feelings, or they might disagree, or whatever it might be. You have any kind of relationship with someone, or you meet them in person, you treat them differently to somebody you've never met. They're not that anonymous person, or they're not like an idea of a person. They're a human being, and now they're a human being with thoughts and feelings like everybody else. And then you can't be unbiased towards them in one way or another. It's not how it works, especially when you're best friends now.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to get paid, Dave. If you're doing it all these years and playing gatekeeping and being the biggest evangelist in AEW history, you need to get paid for it. If you're not doing it and getting paid, then I'm disappointed.
One more quote here.
I'm checking my phone. Hold on a second. Nope, you didn't call.
No, very good.
Sorry.
And then there was also this. He once again said that it was the most ill-spent money Tony Khan probably ever did regarding paying Rusev, or among them. I shouldn't say the most, but among them was that one, because it's like this guy wouldn't do anything in AEW. That's only according to one side of the story, I guess. And then he goes to WWE.
Can I stop you right there,
yes,
please? I'm sorry. I just remembered how they brought him in as the best man. You think Rusev wanted to do that as Miro?
Dude, wasn't that with Billy Mitchell? Or am I thinking of something else? The gamer guy.
No, it was with Kip Sabian or somebody like that, right?
What was the
Joey
Miro
Janela crew?
Billy
It was
Mitchell
like the Joey
thing?
Janela little angle or something. Jelly, as Jim Cornette calls him.
Billy Mitchell Miro. Yeah, that was the wedding thing. I'm looking at a picture of Billy Mitchell Miro.
Billy Mitchell, the King of Kong?
The King of Kong.
Oh, my God.
They booked him.
All right, so you're telling me that Miro, coming from the big Russian nightmare over there in WWE, coming out with the tank at WrestleMania versus John Cena, said, you know what I haven't done? I haven't been the best man at a wedding. And I haven't dyed my hair blonde. And that's the first impression you're giving us of Miro.
Yes.
That's him doing that, not Tony Khan and the supposed creative in AEW. Come on, man.
Here's where it's going to get really infuriating. This is from Meltzer's pen.
I don't give. I'm only mad because he's not getting paid. I'm only mad because he's not getting paid.
It says he would. It's a guy like this wouldn't do anything in AEW, and then he goes to WWE and he's putting over Dominic Mysterio. I mean, he wouldn't put over guys twice as good as Dominic in AEW. Who's twice as good as Dominic in AEW? Name them now. There you go. Who's twice as good as Dominic Mysterio in WWE?
Oh, yeah, right
very
now,
few.
You know what? Hey, that could be a good segue for Logan Paul, because Logan Paul's right up there with Dominic as the two top heels in the company, in my estimation. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There are better athletes than Dominic in AEW, better workers. You can get mad all you want, Dave, but Dominic makes us remember stuff, and that's including things that happen on WWE. So I'm not talking about WWE's better than AEW. I'm talking about Dominic's one of the best heels right now anywhere in any promotion, and gives me something to remember, laugh, or if you're an actual fan that believes, get mad each and every week and hope someone kicks this guy's butt. And hopefully it's his father who just came back, where they had a really great segment on Raw.
They booed Ray. That's how over Dominic is.
Yeah.
Who's that over?
You keep my father's name out of your mouth, the Eddie Guerrero thing. And for people that say, oh, he's stealing from Eddie Guerrero. Yes, he is. That's why he's a heel. But he's entertaining, and I like what he does. And guess what? There's not a whole lot that I like in any company right now, but I don't fast forward through Dominic Mysterio. I don't.
Not enough flips. That's the problem. That's why he doesn't get those 5-star matches.
You know what?
Just not enough flips.
And that's why he's down on Rusev when he says Rusev doesn't want to do anything. It means, why doesn't Rusev want to spike bat in his back? He doesn't want to do anything. Why doesn't he want to get drowned in a fish tank or have somebody put things under his fingernails? He doesn't want to do anything. That just proves how much of a mark you are, and how, if you care about these wrestlers, why do you want to see them do the stunt work that could kill them? Do you see what I mean? There's some kind of 1984 double think here.
The best thing about that is, I really didn't like that match. There was just too many hardcore things. It was just too that 5.5 stars. And then he'll overrate stuff that he admits he hates because it's AEW. That's how it goes. Right. Before we just get onto Logan Paul, there is one more thing just to wrap up this thought, I guess. Is that once again, Miro was sent home for 18 months, and you said, well, if you disagree with it, I'll just send you home. What you probably didn't mean was, I'm going to send you home with full pay. Because if a professional wrestler, an independent contractor, is going to continually, supposedly, disagree or refuse to do what you ask of them, at some point that becomes firing with cause or whatever it might be, the WWE Andrade thing that's going on now. And then surely, unless AEW contracts are just not that well written, surely you can just send them home without pay and just say, well, you're not doing what I'm asking you, and you're not doing what I'm paying you to do. So surely you don't have to send them home with full pay to let them run out the clock. There's got to be something else.
He breached their contract. He breached his contract. In other words, you can tie him up, you can sit him at home without pay. Didn't you say on your thing that they removed like Ray Phoenix's merchandise and all these guys' merch from the store that they weren't using or sitting at home?
I didn't say that, but like with the Ray Phoenix thing, he was meant to go across to WWE at the same time as Penta. But the Tony Khan thing is, as soon as he gets wind that they're not going to re-sign, he will take them off television and pay them. But with Ray Phoenix specifically, he had an injury time 6 months tacked on to his contract, which was basically out of spite. But once again, I mean, you're paying him to sit at home. So I don't understand that thinking. But then there's other people like, your Keith Lees or your Britt Bakers or whoever else it might be, who are ready to go, sat there doing nothing. And I sort of think, well, they're not doing anything. Well, what about Britt Baker? I mean, was she difficult to deal with? And is Tony Khan so not interested in any kind of conflict or confrontation, he would rather pay people their contract out than have to deal with them?
Well, I mean, you got to give him credit, though. He does take care of the wrestlers from a financial standpoint. He cares about the wrestlers. He's donated money to the Dutch with his thing. That's another point in contention.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you and I, Meltzer, never. That's that you talk about feelings and stuff like that. Maybe he has none. That's not an accusatory thing, but he seems to always say these things that put him in a position of being very apathetic just because he didn't like a take from Dutch Mantel, or maybe he didn't like the way Dutch wrestled. So therefore, he's not a good human being. And I'm gonna just say something really mean or heartless during the lowest time medically in this guy and his wife's life at the time, a very difficult time. Nah, I mean, forgive but not forget in that vein. But Tony Khan, on the other hand, maybe kindness is a weakness. He seems to be a really good guy. I've never heard a bad word about the way he treats somebody. Now, he plays promoter a little bit. That thing about pulling merch from the store and stuff, that's wrestling promoter 101 in a way. Take every bit of the identity of this person out of the company, but continue to pay. And from what I heard in this modern time, what's the most affordable town making? low six figures, if not more.
In WWE, main roster's 350.
No, but what's the lowest person in AEW making?
Don't know. That's a good question. I really don't know.
I mean, in the early days, I know there were some people like the Janellas or the Big Swells and other people that were not getting paid a whole lot of money. And then there were people getting paid high six, low seven a year. Now we're seeing in the range of Okada and Mercedes Moné, like pretty good sevens, deep into the seven figures. So you have to wonder, like, how are the low paid people? If the low paid people are getting paid like even $150 to work once a week or once in a while, that's a good living in 2025.
I tell you, working once a week, I don't think anyone's worked once a week. I don't think anyone's had 50 matches in AEW this year or will have at the end of the year, I think.
It's a shame because you know what it is? You have these things of they seem to get really creatively bankrupt with a character very quickly and tired of it to where you can't follow. Cody was one that was on TV almost every week. Even the Bucks, they went away, came back, went away, came back. Kenny Omega, obviously medical reasons. That dude's super tough, and I worry about him with some of the physical stuff in the ring because he's an incredible athlete, but diverticulitis and other things can't be controlled. But there's a lot of stop-start with a lot of even the top guys in the company, even Adam Page, Swerve, Daniel Bryan's he can kind of come off the shelf and work once in a while. But you look at that, I'll talk about these two guys. Make it three in a way. Samoa Joe, Adam Page, Swerve. Kind of dipping in and out of different ways when you start to kind of get behind Swerve as a singles. Then he's going to team up with Will Ospreay. Then Will Ospreay's out right now, right? With injury, I believe.
Oh, yeah, he won't be back to Wellington next year. Neck
well,
surgery.
I mean, that's to me, that's just something that happens. But there is a very stop-start mentality creatively with AEW. Every time I kind of tune in, it's kind of like, wow, this feels like an entirely different company. Well, Moxley's the one constant for good or bad that you've seen over the past, 1 to 2 years?
Yeah, with the Death Riders, but I think he joined didn't he join in the first year, Moxley?
Well, the first year he was there?
No, the first 2019, I thought he joined the company. It was one of almost the originals.
No, he was the original, one of the originals because he came out at Double or Nothing out of nowhere for the Jericho Omega match. You see, there are things I remember. He gave Jericho the double arm DDT. Then he attacked Omega, and then that visual was awesome on top of like the chips, gave him the finish, and that's how it ended with him standing over Omega at the end of Double or Nothing. Am I correct with that?
You are exactly right about that, yeah, as well. I find it funny around that time that...
That's the AEW I wanted to succeed. That's the AEW that I was like, this is exciting.
Yeah.
Something different, an alternative to WWE.
Yeah, I think when Punk left, he really lost the way.
They never capitalized on Punk creatively. Think about it. Outside of the real fight, when did they ever have a buzz? When he came out at the first dance in Chicago, and then, creatively with Punk, that's something I get what Punk was trying to do too. I appreciate that he wanted to work with some of the younger talent, like Will Hobbs and other people, but I believe he wasted a lot of matches in AEW that could have been big money matches, like even in England. I love the fact that he worked Joe. I love the fact that he came out, what was the MJF match, where he came out with the old ROH music, the Mizura Terror or whatever it's called, with the Triple X like sweatsuit. See, these are things that if you're really digging into ROH and the past of these characters, there's a great way to do it. They just never caught the lightning that they could have with these characters.
To wrap up the point, I guess, is just I find it funny that Dave Meltzer's trying to do a character assassination on Rusev and ends up more, when you dig through it a bit more, burying Tony Khan. That's just kind of the amusing bit of it. It's like, we're saying that Rusev's done all these things. Well, Tony Khan could have handled it a lot differently. And also, we're only getting one side as well.
Well, isn't it the wording that it sounds like it's literally a memo from the office?
Yeah, basically, yeah.